All right, we will continue with Ryan Blaney, driver of the number 12 Menards Pennzoil Ford. Go ahead and open it up for media questions. Please raise your hand if you have a question for Ryan, and we will bring the wireless mic to you. Who would like to kick us off? Matt Weaver.
I thought it was going to be an easy day. I was going
Almost.
to get out of here.
Now they're going to come flooding in.
Yeah.
I'm going to start you off easy, actually. Matt Weaver with Auto Week. I got the same geeky questions I had for Joey. The 50th anniversary of Hot Wheels is this year, so I'm curious, first of all, did you have any memories of Hot Wheels? What was your favorite car?
Yeah, Kyle Petty drove a Hot Wheels car for a little while, and I remember I had a diecast of that one that I'd play with, and I think they used to make I thought, make some NASCAR stuff other than Kyle's car. So, yeah, I mean, every kid enjoys Hot Wheels. I didn't know it was the 50th anniversary, though. That's a pretty cool fact to know. But, yeah, every kid's into them. I bought my some of my younger cousins, I buy them Hot Wheel kits every year, and my sister's having a kid in December, so I'm going to spoil him with all the Hot Wheels that he can handle. So, yeah, that's pretty neat. But, yeah, I think every person was Hot Wheels at some point in their life. They had collections. I had a briefcase full of them. They made some cool briefcases and ramps and stuff, and they made some pretty cool stuff. I'm sure it's evolved and gotten a little bit more advanced nowadays. I might have to re-up on my Hot Wheels skills at 24. It'd be nice.
And it's also the 25th anniversary last weekend of the NASCAR racing PC game on Papyrus. Do you have any memories of doing that as you got a little bit older?
No, I don't think I played that. I think the first NASCAR game I played as a kid was the NASCAR Heat, the original NASCAR Heat game, and there was a lot of other ones throughout the years. I don't know if you guys remember that Total Team Control. You could control every car, and it was awesome when you could race with like Hendrick, who had 4 cars, and you could pretty much rig the whole race, which was nice, and it was pretty fun. But and now, you know, going back, I have a Nintendo 64, and they have a couple NASCAR games on that, so I like that. It's crazy to see how far they've come on gaming in general, but racing games for sure. But I never played the PC version of it. I might have to. I don't really have a computer in my house, so I don't even know if I could go back and do it nowadays if I wanted to.
Bob
Pockris, ESPN. Dover is going to have a kiosk in their fan zone where people can bet on the races or any other sporting event. Do you like that idea, and do you care?
I don't really care, to be honest with you. I don't personally gamble. I used to. I don't anymore. And I think it's cool. It's neat that you can just walk up, and if you're a gambling type, walk up, put your money down, and I didn't know that you could gamble on other events too. I thought it was going to be. I thought it had to be the race since it was at the racetrack. But yeah, that's cool for people who want to do that stuff. It doesn't really affect me at all if you bet money on me or somebody else. I wish you the best if you do, but no, I don't. I won't be making a visit to that just because I don't gamble or nothing.
Jennifer, AP. Hey, Ryan, so say you had a buddy who did want to bet, and he was a friend of yours, and he's like, hey, who should I bet on? Is NASCAR unique in that you guys have this intel and information that you can tell them who's good and who's not and things like that?
That's a good point. But I do think NASCAR is a little bit different sport than, let's say, you're betting on a basketball game. You know, I don't know if LeBron James's buddies come up and be like, hey, man, you going to put up 40 tonight, or are you going to slouch off and put up 20? And I don't know if he's like, yeah, I'll put up 40, because he can put up whatever numbers he wants. But all that information is not really limited to the teams and drivers. Any fan can get that information. Just look at practice sheets and then 10-lap averages, 20-lap averages. You know, you can figure all that stuff out just by watching times if you get the sport and you know where to look. But you know, if someone comes up to me and asks who's good and tell me they're going to bet on whoever, and I don't know, is that cheating? Is that illegal if you do that? I don't know the rules, but I tell them who I thought was good if they didn't tell me they were going to bet. Like, hey, people ask me about their fantasy stuff all the time. They're like, should I take you this week? Like, I don't care. I don't know. Look up and see if you think I'm good or not. That's your choice, not mine. It's not my money. I don't want you to tell you how to spend your money. But I don't know. It might be a little bit different, but you can find all that stuff without asking teams or drivers who would be good or not that weekend. Just there's so much information being pumped out there nowadays, especially. You can figure that out on your own. Why did you want to ask me next week if who was okay? maybe I'll give you a good answer after happy hour next week. If you give me a cut, 40%. Yeah, maybe we could work a deal out. Allegedly.
We're not calling on you again today. Hill?
Hi, Ryan. Hill Overton, WIXC Radio. Two-part question for you. Number one, how much importance do you personally place on qualifying high for this type of race? And secondly, where, in your opinion, is the best place to overtake or to pass here in this race?
Yeah, I do think qualifying up towards the front is important everywhere, but here especially because the track is so tight, really narrow, and you can look at some corners, and try to figure out passing zones, but until you kind of get out there and racing cars and you can see where you get runs on people, that's kind of hard to figure out. Like coming off of turn 8 there, leading on to the backstretch, that's a big speed place where you're going pretty fast. So there's a couple of them just looking at the paper where you think you can pass people, but I think if you can qualify up towards the front, that's going to be great. But you never know how things are going to play out with cautions and pit strategy and things like that. You can get shuffled to the back pretty quick. So just try to stay up front and stay out of potential danger, just because you don't know how this race is going to go. People have been saying it's going to be wild and crazy, and yeah, there might have moments of being like that, but I don't think it'll be, the whole race like that. But I think it is really important to qualify up front.
Well, how much chaos do you see on restarts here, as close as it's going to be to turn 1?
Yeah.
Across the stripe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's really smart that they cut out that chicane coming to restarts. You just run the normal line, because the way it would play out is 3/4 of the field would be in that chicane and it'd be mayhem. But turn 1 is pretty tough as is. A couple cars have wrecked there, trying to go through there by yourself, and now you got 40 cars trying to go through there side by side. I don't know, and I think everyone's going to be cautious just because we don't know at the beginning of the race, and then as the race goes on, you'll see people get more aggressive, obviously, when it comes down to crunch time. But yeah, it'll be sketchy at moments. It'll be fun to watch. Hopefully, it'll be fun to be a part of. I know it's going to be fun to be a part of if you don't get caught up in anything. Obviously, that's every race, but it'll be interesting for sure, and I'm excited to get out there today and see where we stack up. So, yep.
Jacob Seelman, Speed Sport. Ryan, looking outside and where things are at the moment, if conditions stay like this, what's the strategy for practice, knowing that it may be damp, people don't want to tear up their race cars, and yet you guys have to qualify later this afternoon?
Yeah, the whole weekend kind of looks like that. I think Sunday looks okay, but you never know how the weather's going to be. And, if it looks like Sunday's weather's looking iffy and it looks like it might be a little bit wet today, you want to get out there today. So you have a little bit of wet practice and just try to figure out how to drive this track, because obviously you hear it all the time. You drive a wet track completely different than a dry race track. So I don't know. If it starts to rain here, that's kind of a last-minute decision that crew chiefs have to make of if they want to do it. You don't change a ton to the cars. You mess with the rear end of the car and put wets on it or put tread tires on it. But yeah, I don't really know. It'd be nice to get some laps just in case Sunday turns that way, but we'll see.
You're a graduate of Bandoleros and Legends cars here, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Are you an advocate of the fact that the rain tires are an option?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be. You can't run in wet on slicks. It's just not possible. So, yeah, you have that option. I did an Xfinity race at Mid-Ohio in the rain 3 years back, and that was a lot of fun. It was a blast. And it wasn't wet. It was pouring rain, and you couldn't see anything in front of you. And then your wiper blade gets cocked sideways, so it's not even working. And it's pretty nuts. But, yeah, you just go with whatever situation is presented to you and try to overcome it. So,
Dustin, and then we'll wrap up in the back.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. I've got a couple questions. One, can you talk me through what is it going to be like on pit road in the sense of a lot of times we see cars side by side, the yellow commitment lines at the pit 2 box, so then you've got that sharp left-hand turn, and then you've got to get back on the course. What is that area going to be like, especially once you pass that yellow line, you've got to make that sharp turn, and you guys are all going to be trying to beat each other and potentially funnel into a tight spot as other cars are coming onto the track.
Yeah, that I was thinking about that earlier this week after looking at the map and kind of where everything ends, the pit road line ends. And I think that's going to be a big deal for the spotters to kind of give you information. You know, if you're side by side with a car coming off pit road and you're making that, you know, the first sharp left and then you blend onto the racetrack, if there's another car coming off of turn 2, that's 3 cars in a really tight spot. That's not going to work. So there might have to be a little bit of give and take there just because it's almost a blind corner pretty much. And so that'll be a big deal for the spotters to let us know if someone's coming or if you need a back out or something like that. And that's, you know, a lot of the driver too, but you just can't see on the racetrack. If you're too wide and you're coming off pit road and no one's coming off of turn 2, I think you can do it. It should be okay. But it's a big deal if someone else is on the racetrack, and because they don't know if you're coming out or not too at that wall there. They have no idea. So it could be trouble, but that situation, you just got to get all the info you can.
And also, obviously, with this being a new idea, a lot of talk, a lot of hype, but at the end of the day, at the end of Sunday or beyond, how do you look at this as if this is a good idea? This is something that, you know, as NASCAR talks about trying to do some different things, new things, that this is a direction to go to, that this would even be something to consider for other tracks, or there would be some other other direction to go. How will you look at that after the weekend is over? That's
a better question for after Sunday. I just don't know how it's going to play out. You know, you can make all the assumptions right now, but when there's not been a race on a track before, you can't really judge it too hard. And I know some people have been giving it a hard time, and that it might have been thrown together quick and maybe not laid out the best, but it is what it is. And you know, it's a racetrack, and we have our job to do. You can't keep bashing a place. It's not going to do anything different. It's just going to kind of sit in your mind. So you have to make the best of it, and I don't think you can judge it really at all right now. Is just have to get on it and race it and overcome it. So if you have a bad outlook on it already, you're kind of already behind the 8 ball. You have to be positive about it and just try to go do the best you can, especially when, you know, we're in our position where we got to have a really good day on Sunday to try to advance into the next round. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's a bad idea to maybe put it at some other tracks. There's a handful of other places with road courses inside. I think Indy has a really good road course inside it that Indy cars go on that I enjoy watching each year. So I think you have to get the feedback after Sunday and then maybe implement something here in the next couple of years to maybe go forward with something like this at other places.
Last question.
Seth Eggert, Motorsports Tribune, back here. With this being in the playoffs, would you have rather it been earlier in the season, or are you looking forward to having this new experience now?
I think there's 2 ways to look at that. Me personally, as a driver who is, this situation would be out of the playoffs, but when you go to a completely new racetrack for the first time that had just been constructed, you really wouldn't like to see it in the playoffs. That's just me personally, because there's so many unknowns about it. But I understand why they did it in the playoffs, because A, this was Charlotte's normal, close to their normal race weekend for this time of year, and B, it makes it exciting for the fans. It's exciting for everyone to watch because the stakes are really high. People love watching high stakes games or races. That's what draws people in, and honestly, that's what teams live for. So there's both sides of it, just kind of different opinions and outlooks on how you view everything. But yeah, this kind of goes either way. But like I said a little bit before, you can't have a bad mindset on it. Even though if I wish it was 2 months ago, it's now. So you have to just realize and try to go accomplish whatever you can, the best you can. So, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your time today.